Hello, and welcome to the 14th episode of Last Attempt, a World of Warcraft Guildcast. I'm your host, Squirrelthug, and tonight we're diving into everything coming in patch 12.0.7 from a brand new borrowed power system for once that doesn't live in a gear slot to surprise crossover that puts WoW's most iconic armor sets inside Diablo 4. We'll also talk about the Sporefall Raid and what Warbound Mythtrack gear could mean for your alts. And we've got Pathran at the table with us tonight to help break it all down.
What's
And
up?
hey, Pathran. Yeah, let's get started with you. Also, just as the actually, I need to go around and do some introductions first before we do our little roundtable. First of all, yes, we got Pathran here from our guild, our guild's key runner, key pusher, key
Yeah,
boss.
I wouldn't get that far. I
I mean,
mean,
dude,
I,
everybody in the guild runs keys with you.
yeah. I mean, I
I
know how
think
to run keys.
I think it was something we were talking about. I think on one of the other podcasts, or maybe it was like the pre-show. Um, Several people who did the maybe it's like a Raider IO breakdown of like the War Within. You know, uh, it'll break down your Mythic Plus kind of run and the history for it, and it shows. There's one that shows like your party and like a bunch of people that you like play with, and out of that, it's like they're ranked like number 1, 2, 3, 4 of like how often you played with that person, and several people's number one played with was you, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Like more than five.
Yeah, I really enjoy doing Mythic Plus keys.
That's great.
Rating has kind of been like a secondary thing for me. Like I didn't get into rating until after I'd been pushing like keys pretty hard. So Mythic keys are always like my fallback. And plus you can gear out like so much easier on keys than you can in raid.
Yeah, there's lockouts.
Yeah.
And we also have Templar with us again. How you doing, Temp?
Yo, doing good.
So let's get that roundtable going. Pathran, what have you been up to in the last week in World of Warcraft?
So I got my 13 resilient, and then today I got my 14 resilient. My Mythic Plus rating is now 3248. Been running keys. I plan on doing a little bit of a raid tonight, Mythic Chimeras. Hopefully we can get it down. That'd be cool. During that, I'm going to be trying to recruit a few people. Hopefully buff up our actual like guild runs in the future where we're running mythics starting off. So that should be fun.
Yeah, Mythic Pug is probably the best place to recruit, right? You're going to be firsthand see how somebody performs.
Yeah, absolutely. Because in keys, like you run into the problem, especially in the higher keys, of these people are just running keys, you know? So when you ask them to join your guild, they're like, so do you have Mythic Plus runners, and what type of keys are you running? And I'm like, well, we don't really have that. I mean, we have people that run keys, but we don't like have like set times and like people like actually pushing like the real high content. So I figure raid or trade chat type situation will be the best way to recruit from WoW, just to get people like interested. And I figure doing it at the same time as normal raid times would be best. I know it's on a completely different day, but I feel like if people are up at this time on Sunday, there's a chance that they're going to be up this time Tuesday through Thursday.
Yeah, that's logical. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So that's my thought process on the whole thing. Hopefully you all can join me after this.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I don't think I'm doing anything, so we should be able to jump in there. I think I've spent all my void cores this week, so
Yeah, I feel like the most impactful thing to get new recruits is having like a good like group of guildies in there to like show like what we're capable of. And I went over the video earlier today on the Mythic, and really if we set it up right, it's not going to be that much harder than heroic, honestly. I feel like a lot of people are just overthinking it, and like pugs don't have any sort of like setups or anything, and they're not in chat. But if we just designate a few people to do a few important roles, then we'll be all right.
Nice. Yeah, I look forward to that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to be able to jump in there. So we'll see what happens tonight.
Have you been
Templar,
running any keys?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Dude, I've been working tens all week, so I've been tired, and I haven't had time. I have to do a bunch of other shit after work. So yeah, this weekend I got busy too, so no, I get to. But I do. I want to run. I want to run more keys. That's like one thing that I do want to improve on. Just because it's not really the gear. Gear's like okay, that'll help, but because there's just the one shot kill mechanics. Like keys, kind of higher keys take repetition. You know, I should have already had the footwork down for certain things and like know when how to navigate a mechanic. So I think I just gotta make my rounds, before I start pushing.
Yeah, and keys. That's another point that I wanted to bring up about keys. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to like
You
overstate
good?
my part on this roundtable, but yeah. So keys help a lot with like positioning and like focusing on what's actually going on around you. That correlates back into raid for the raid mechanics because there's so many different mechanics in mythics. Like if you can do the high content mythic keys, like raid becomes so much easier to like get it to click with you, because that's really all about what raid is. Like there comes a point where the mechanics just click and you know where to be, you know where to stand, and all you have to do is DPS and like follow that same like muscle memory type thing. And I think that's what makes raids so much fun, is when everything starts to fall together and you like feel like you're in the zone.
Yeah, I think there's something to that, right? Because raid, you have lockouts, other things. Maybe you one shot the boss, get that much practice on it. You died, the rest of the raid killed it anyways. But with Mythic Plus, you get repetition. Even if it's a different mechanic, you get repetitions on mechanics, and you get the point that like you can learn it, and then you just apply the same logic to raid mechanics.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a cool perspective. I think people should push more keys and get out there. Also, tanks, please apply. There's so few tanks. Speaking of tanks, we have Templar. How have you been doing, Templar? Have you been running keys? You been doing your part?
Not yet this week. The only thing I've really done as far as keys is just to try to get the puzzle box, and still, I think I have one void core left that I'm gonna try to see if I can get it. If not this week, hopefully next week. But the whole whittling down of the loot table is kind of not fun, but at least it is getting whittled down. I think I have 5 or 6 different items that I could possibly get still. So hopefully I'll get it before next week, because I'm still running a champion version, and it not even the heroic has dropped, just normally, and Lord knows I haven't gotten anything from the vault. Other than that, being in
How's the rest
raid,
of your gear?
the rest of the gear is actually doing pretty good. I did
All
get
your slots are already like mythic?
almost. I just need, I think, shoulders, the cloak, and I think gloves as well. But the only thing with the gloves is that I want to try to get the a mythic version of the one from Seat of the Triumvirate, because it does extra damage. But with that being said, if it shows up in like a good mythic gloves in the vault, I'll go with that. But still just trying to get that puzzle box as the top priority, and then from there everything will start to fall into place.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking about how I'm approaching Pit of Sauron. Because there's a couple of things. Actually, there's a few things that I want from there. And it was number one on my priority list for uh, raid bots. I believe is the simulation website, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, so I simulated my character and I checked it. I was looking for a priority list for +10s that are dropping like mythic gear. And yeah, Pit of Sauron just has like a lot of stuff in there. And I noticed that because I have a lot of hero gear, even if something isn't kind of like in line with some of the stats that I like or that I want, I can catalyze it,
Right.
or I could just take it. It's a mythic piece, and it's going to immediately unlock the piece that I do have to be able to get scaled up. Like I can just pay gold and level it up at the at the gear. What I don't know what that is. What is that system with that Drakthir that levels up your gear on the gear tracks? But that it becomes free. Right,
Right.
once these mythic pieces drop, they kind of like it. So for me, moving through that table and burning void cores on the Pit of Sauron table at the end is really cool. I think last time I went, I made sure to roll first in case I got the same loot out of the chest and I can give it away. And exactly that happened. I got a ring off of my thing, so I got a mythic ring, and then that same exact ring dropped from a chest, and I just gave it to a rogue in the party.
Ah, that's nice.
So like it works out because even if I already got like gloves or something, I can use those. I can go catalyze those. I can do something. I can use basically all the gear until I get. I think it's the dagger and there's like a trinket or something that I need to get from there. So until I get those things, all the other stuff is still like it's nice along the way. So it's been working out really well for me. Just to moving through, using the void core system.
Yeah, I will say I did get a mythic weapon and mythic pants from, burning those void cores, so that those were nice. It's just that the puzzle box. So one of the issues with um, the Prot Paladin, both the Discord and the guides, is that there's essentially three different opinions on what trinket you should get, and even more so on the overall gear. And so for me, I've been having to do not just a lot of simming, but a lot of, thinking, is this guy right or is that guy right? And um, it's just very strange. I mean, I know that this has been sort of the same way since I believe it was Dragonflight, where there's this differing of opinions where there wasn't any before. So I'm not sure exactly how that happened, but it's very, I don't know, it just seems very odd. But the only thing that everybody seems to agree with is both like the Umbral Plume and the puzzle box being either both of those being best in slot, or if you sim it with a different trinket and that trinket is better, it's going to be one of those two with the other trinket as well. So it's rather confusing, and I really don't know why it's so divergent between the differing opinions, in all honesty.
People are like rating or simming for their own like thing. Some people sim like per boss, right? So you can see what you're best at, like what gear you can swap.
Yeah, and I do think, because I don't know if it was you, Pathran, but this was when like the season started, and we were talking about not just prop pallies, but basically tanks and other specs in general. And I think we got onto the subject that uh, one of the prop pally uh, um, Discord members, and one of the ones who make the list, generally are just focusing on prot paladin damage versus survivability, which you know I could definitely see that. I'm not 100% sure which one is which, but I will say the way I use the puzzle box isn't outright just for damage. I also use it defensively, since all that mastery just gives me block chance and increased damage reduction from my blocks. So
Is it an on use effect?
yeah,
Yes.
every 2 minutes. But it lines up perfectly with Avenging Wrath and the Templar spec, because you just use that Avenging Wrath, use your Divine Tool, use the Divine Hammers, and you just obliterate things.
Nice. Okay, so can you use it? I guess maybe even in tandem with Divine Wrath for like if there's a tank buster coming up.
Yeah, in fact, that's what I do. For example, on the Godzilla boss, I actually, I use that with the Avenging Wrath and Divine Tool, because whenever you use the Hammer Wrath, it not only gives you a shield for, I think it's 25% of your health, but it also does a healing effect. I think it's also 20%. So if I use that in combination, so basically I use that as one cooldown. And then from there, I intertwine both Ardent Defender and Guardian of Ancient Kings. That way I always have something for whenever he does his abilities, because he still hits hard even on the small circles, not the giant ones.
Okay. So I want to talk about the next patch and some of the power that we're getting from that. I imagine there's going to be some pretty cool trinkets in that raid as well. I'm, kind of wondering if we're going to get only a single kind of flavor of trinkets, because sometimes it's just like power. Sometimes they're like they have unused effects. And personally, the trinkets that I prefer are passive. So they're just passive abilities that I don't have to use to line up with a cooldown. Just because those, I don't know, they're easier to manage. And I don't like rewriting macros every season. But we're getting something called the Omnium Folio, and it's not attached to any gear. There's not any like on use effect with that, whatever. But we're getting player power for this. So unlike getting like a ring or a belt or I don't know, whatever else. Sometimes I think it was at Legion we had weapons, and there was like even talent trees associated with that. This one is going to be, I think, a 3-tiered system. So it's like a base tier with like 2 options, and then a couple like stats for the other ones that you can pick. I mean, it might be similar to some of their other content where they're going to take their time to get it to us, and we have to maybe just randomly quest. I think the island was random, right? Like when you got something for the Cersei Circlet, like you didn't, like go do this quest and get this thing. It was do this event and get one of the ones you don't have yet, kind of thing, right?
Right. I think eventually, because I admit I didn't really take part in it until you could get everything basically for free. But if memory serves, it started out like that, but then they also gave you the ability eventually to use the I forget what they were called, something like flame cores or something to that effect. And you could eventually, choose whichever one you wanted. But initially, it was that way.
Okay, so yeah, with this new system, we are getting um, a new item, sort of. I imagine we're going to keep it in our bags, right? We're not wearing it or anything, and there's no on-use effect. So it's just going to be in our bags, or maybe it's going to be a menu. I don't really know how they're going to implement this thing, but we do have information that it's, there's a Wowhead article that's got some stats on it, and I think it's really interesting that it's not on a piece of gear, because last expansion that was kind of controversial in a couple ways. Did you have any thoughts on that from last expansion, Pathran? Like the borrow power per season or whatever being on certain pieces of gear?
Yeah, so I mean, this is gonna definitely help because it's gonna make the gear obsolete. But how far is that gonna go? Like, is it gonna be the rest of the season, or is this gonna be something that like carries on throughout the seasons?
I,
'Cause
have
it
they?
says importantly, just turn it off. Okay, it says turn it off heading to season 2. So this is gonna help us empower our gear all throughout this season. Also, is is this what's going to enable us to get from 6 of 6 to 8 of 8 on our mythic
No,
slots?
that's the Nilhammer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, there's Decimus You've been doing the quest, I imagine.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so it's like the same thing. You just have 4 more weeks of the quest to do, and then in the same way that this Void Core system was available to us, um, I imagine probably right behind him there's like a hammer or something that's going to get built or going to get put in, and then you just drop your piece of gear in there. And
Yeah.
I believe it's weapons and trinkets only.
Really?
Yes, hero and mythic track gear, or crafted gear with hero or mythic crests, which I think those are the only options. You can make them with whatever else you want, but the gear has to be crafted with hero and mythic track crests,
And
I believe.
you're only going to be able to upgrade weapons and trinkets. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yeah. So it can be regular gear and you get dropped. It could be crafted gear, but hero track and mythic track only, and it has to be capped out before it's eligible to be used.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this folio is looking, what I'm reading right now, it's looking pretty beefy. Saying rune damage, a 50% increase in anything is extreme in this game.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I
The
think it'll
rune
be
damage
cool.
comes from the first modifier in the Omnium Folio.
Right. So I think it's
Yeah.
going to be played out kind of like the Apex Talon is kind of played out. I don't know if it's going to be in your gear slot. You're probably right about it just being in your bags. And it's going to have like a tree and everything, and you're going to upgrade it kind of like how the
Maybe the Cersei Circlet where you're
the
gemming it.
Rishi wraps, or
Yeah.
the circuit. Yeah.
Yeah, Rishi Wraps had the same thing. There was like a gem system that they have, which, I guess you can see that they have sort of underlying technology for the gem system. They kind of reutilize it in a lot of ways.
Right. Yeah, and with a game this old, like that's the best way to update anything is just reskin a
Especially a
system that
temporary
already works.
thing.
Yeah, just reskin something that already works.
Yeah, how do you feel about this, Temp? You feel did it bother you when it was on a piece of gear before, or did it not matter? So like this is not really much of a change.
For me, it didn't really matter, but um, I know that especially you, Squirrel, is just simply like engineers were pretty. I don't want to say screwed necessarily, but pretty limited in what they could do because the disc belt, you right click it, and normally that's what engineers use for their engineering belt, and it just plain conflicted. So I'm hoping that this change is specifically to combat this. What I find more interesting, though, is that this is still being implemented when, and maybe we'll talk about this too, is just that Ilaria is getting massive nerfs already, and I believe we'll see it come reset. But I don't know. It's interesting. It's coming. I don't know. It just seems really quick. And I know they're on the 8 week cycle, which assuming it's not as bug ridden as what we just got, I'm all for. It's just interesting that they're really keeping to it. And but as far as my opinion on the power and what we're borrowing, I think it's a good thing. Um, I just don't. The only thing I don't want is for us to be constantly getting borrowed power, if that makes sense. Where it um, ends up being not just a part of the game, but sort of
Being
the
predictable.
being predictable, or even being the only way we get really any sort of strength from. Instead of gearing and such. But it seems like the idea is to do this near the end of the seasons during each expansion. So I don't think there's necessarily anything, that we should be real worried about. But yeah, it should be interesting.
Okay, so yeah, I guess it would seem that that maybe the plan for the cadence is to always have something like this near the end of a season, as to take the entire gear set that a player may or may not have, right? Like whatever it is that you're wearing, let's just amplify you as a character, and we'll use this borrowed power item to just across the board give you stats that just like perform really well, as opposed to designing art and technically like designing all of the extra gear that you would have to make in place of that. So a borrowed power system, while it does get predictable and stuff, like maybe that is their solution to getting that extra little boost at the end of the season, even though we have several extra little boosts.
Right.
Right.
Well,
And I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pathan.
I was just gonna say, I just realized that, like, with this, where they say it's gonna be, you're just gonna have to turn it off going into season 2. Do you remember how the Cersei Circlet from season 1 was still a best in slot for a lot of classes in season 2?
Yeah.
Which you're not gonna have to worry about that kind of problem, because a lot, I know for a DK for sure, like that was your best in slot, and your item level was like significantly lower than other classes item level, because that was your best in slot, and you're sitting there, and I know rings aren't like that big of a deal because they don't give you any like primary stats, like you're really looking for the secondary stats, but still it's nice that they're keeping this into season 1, so you're not bringing gear from season 1 into season 2 when you want to be getting gear for season 2,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. And even it wasn't even just that, but they decided, instead of just, disabling it, they were just constantly nerfing it in one way or another, instead of just saying, hey guys, this probably wasn't a good idea. Let's just not make it work for the rest of season 2.
Right. Because with the scaling and everything, like that ring was doing crazy damage at such a low item level comparable to the season that we were on.
Right.
Because it was like percentage bonuses, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of those were pretty big, and for like healing as well. But I think the turning it off at the end of season 2 is mostly like speculation on the part of Wowhead. Just saying that Blizzard can tune it independently, and that's sort of a standout feature to say that they would give them a knob to turn off without worrying about like doing something to a gear set or piece of gear that players are still wearing or would choose to wear still, especially if it's not tied to gear. So if you're going to have it, it's either going to be a menu system or it's going to be in your bags.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a temporary thing. It's likely to be in our bags. So speaking of gear and such, and the struggle that we all have to get that, it's actually really cool when you get some cosmetic gear, which is what they have brought to Diablo. They took our cool tier 2 cosmetic gear, and they didn't do it for every single class. It looks like a shorter list than 13 than what we have here, but it makes sense. They kind of made them fit the classes that are in Diablo. I do not have them memorized. There's like a barbarian and maybe a mage and a demon hunter. But they look amazing. The paladin one, I think, is probably the best one out of all of them. The mage, I think the mage looks a bit. I don't like it, and I think all the other armor sets work really well. I don't like the mage one. Have you guys taken a look at them?
I have not got to take a look at them. I'm going to check them out right now real fast.
Yeah, they look pretty epic.
Yeah, the paladin is definitely the best, and I would love. Of course, it would clash with WoW's art style, but that sword too.
Dude, imagine that though, right? Okay, I don't know that there's like. I again, yeah, right. Like you said, clash with the art style. I know it would, but in other games, there's been this sort of thing where like you have this sort of art style that you have with everything, right? And then somebody pulls out a sword and it's like an anime style sword or something, right? Like it's got hard, thick lines and shadows in different places, right? Like totally different. It's almost like high res characters holding a comic book sword.
Right.
And I wonder if maybe at some point we get stuff like that, because some of the weapons that we've gotten have been like, hey, for a spell effect on its own, this weapon genuinely stands out. It's not even like a legendary or something. It's just like a cool animation you guys are playing with during like a Legion raid lineup or something.
Right. And I guess realistically they have been doing that sort of thing, especially with the Overwatch skins, from various different things like Avatar, and I know there was one recently. I can't remember which it was, but um, and I don't think it really clashed, enough that it was like so different as to be, ugly or anything. So yeah, it definitely would be nice.
Yeah, it'd be cool to just have like a warrior in some like barbarian type of thing. Maybe, and like, because we can see that we have armor that can give you like tattoos, right?
Hmm.
So it'd be cool to be able to see that happen for, some of the stuff, and you can like really look like a barbarian from Diablo or a Templar from Diablo. I think the art style in Diablo is really cool, and World of Warcraft has got a lot of cool different styles in it. And I think we can afford to bring one of the other IPs in. Pathran, did you get to take a look at those armor sets?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which one do you
I'm
like the
looking at it right
best?
now. I mean, I like the Warlock one pretty good.
Yeah, that one doesn't look too bad. Oh, okay. What do you think about the mage?
I think it looks stupid, honestly.
Yeah, that's the only one that I don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything else looks good. The Evoker one, how do you think it's gonna switch over to like dragon skin? Like it's gonna still have the shoulders, right?
I don't. Well, those armor sets are for Diablo in Diablo, right? Like they're cosmetics in Diablo. What do you mean dragon skin?
Oh, never mind.
Oh, you thought you meant like in WoW?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no. Yeah. I think you have to buy like a special edition of the expansion or something, right? To like get all these or
Yeah.
oh no. It's you buy class bundles and a class bundle is $25 per class or $50 for the whole collection. Probably best to spend the 50.
You think it would be cheaper, as far as the individual classes, but I guess they really want you to get all of them.
Well, they did that with those squirrel mounts, right? There was 4 different options. They're 25 each. If you're going to get more than one, just buy the $50 bundle. Now you have 4.
Right.
So yeah, that looks like seeing a little pattern in the monetization and how they're doing things. And it almost kind of makes sense that way, right? Like maybe somebody would get one, especially at the price point of $25. It's just like, ooh, I'm only ever gonna get one. I'm gonna pick one that I really like. I'm gonna get that one. But if they see is even just a second one and they're kind of on the fence about it, like this pricing model seems like it might have some success in just pushing people over that line to spend $50 when they normally, historically, on their account normally wouldn't.
Right.
Since we're on the topic of Diablo, today, just before the podcast, I had seen on it had been posted on Twitter, maybe today or yesterday, Korn from the 90s and the 2000s uh, officially did a collaboration with Blizzard on a music video and a song specifically for like the launch of this new Diablo 4 Lord of Hatred expansion. And I really like Korn. When I heard the song, it reminded me of like when the band was at its height and it was had like the most numbers and the most listens and like people were really paying attention to them because they kind of had like a decline after a certain era. But in the height, like that's what this song sounds like. It sounds like they went all the way back and like, and I don't know if they're like still making music and that's just how they sound again or something. But like, as a fan of Korn, it was really cool to hear the song. But then I then I went on Twitter because I just like played the song. I went on Twitter and I like full screened it so I can watch the music video, and it is gory. It's like Attack on Titan gory. It's insane,
Really?
dude. Go watch it. It's so good. I think it's only like a minute or two or something. The art style is really cool. Again, right? We have an anime art style here. The other music video that they just did a collaboration on that was for World of Warcraft. We had an anime with that as well. There just wasn't the band where like it was cutting back and forth. This one, Korn's like playing on stage, so it cuts between like stage shots of Korn and then the anime, and it kind of just bounces back like a music video. Um, but the animation, it looks really cool. Looks really dark. The art style fits Diablo really, really well. I think they nailed it. But when, and I think it's Diablo that comes out of this priest in a church. Spoiler alert: he burst from a priest, and ooh, the rest of it is just gore, and it's pretty intense. If that was an anime, I would watch that.
I'd be curious if they're using the same studio. At least to me, that would make sense. The same one that they used for World of Warcraft, which I believe was a French studio.
The art
If
style
memory
is so
serves.
different. I would be very impressed that
Yeah,
they were able to branch out like that, because it's like it's a lot closer to like I think the one that they did with that music video, the last music video we were talking about, like the adventure one, that
mhm,
was maybe not less detail, but like a lot less shading. And this one is like
right.
really dark, like a really dark palette, and it has a different style of shading. And I think that takes a different kind of artist. It's like almost like who's it Mike Mignola who does like the Hellboy comics?
Oh,
Like
I
if you've
see
ever
what you
seen
mean.
that
Yeah.
man draw live, he like dude, if you look at his characters, half of them are solid black.
Hmm.
But he's such a good artist, you know what I mean? Like he can really
Right.
nail it. I think dark palette like art like this, like in the way this is like, but again, like if it's the same studio, that's pretty insane, because they're pretty different art styles. But if they're a different studio, it's kind of maybe showing that Blizzard is really, and under the wings of Microsoft here now, really reaching out, doing some big things. Korn's kind of still a big band.
Yeah, and I did find it interesting, that their World of Warcraft got it, now Diablo got it, and I just kind of feel bad because StarCraft hasn't gotten anything for ages. Um, but hopefully, obviously we've talked about over and over how World of Warcraft and Blizzard at large are sort of the one that are giving Microsoft all the money,
The Golden Child.
the golden child. Yeah, exactly. Um, and I don't know if you had this in the notes, but it was confirmed that Xbox revenue was down a whopping 33% for the year.
Oh
Um,
man.
so, doing stuff like this, makes all the more sense.
Yeah, media is so much easier to get into, and I think that there's also certain statistics that I've seen of like the amount of the planet Earth that isn't plugged in online, and like the rate at which those people get connected to online, and localizing things in languages is like, right. Okay, so Mr. Beast, right? Like a huge part of his success initially, primarily, was localization in every single continent. So on
Oh,
every single
really?
continent, he paid people, like he reinvested his money to pay people to localize into other languages, and he just went hard on that. So he's worldwide. He's got worldwide reach. If viewership is all you need, then it makes sense to localize in that way, and then you get a bigger reach. And so you can reach a much bigger audience if you have aggressive localization like that, and it's much easier to localize a music video or an anime than it is a video game.
Right. And I guess that makes also sense why Google through YouTube has been trying those auto transcriptions in different languages. I think they use AI. I've never listened to them, but I think the idea is it's supposed to use, let's say my or your voice, but then use the cadence and the sound of it to translate it into a different language. Um, so yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, we got some pretty cool stuff out there in the world. Some great technology. But yeah, if they keep treating Blizzard like this and going in this direction, I think we can really expect to see. And it's looking more and more like an anime. I think the fact that the live action movie didn't do well, and there's a lot more moving parts for live sets, that they probably won't do that again for a while. But animation studios seem to be something that's like within their wheelhouse that they, especially with even Microsoft Gaming, right? Like Xbox Gaming, like if they're gonna be close to a studio for something, it's gonna be an animation studio, not a film studio.
Right.
Yeah. And it's so much easier to like dub an anime
Yep.
than to dub like a live action.
Yeah. And plus, I just really like anime, and I would love to get some high quality anime for World of Warcraft. That would be really great to just add to like, the classics.
Yeah. I know this is kind of getting away from topic, but a lot of the animes now are no longer releasing seasons as often. They're coming out with movies, like live action or not live action, animated
Demon
movies.
Hunter is doing that to
Yeah.
finish out the show, right?
Demon Hunter, Jujutsu Kaisen,
I
a
haven't
lot of
watched that
them.
one yet, but I've seen clips. I really want to watch it.
Solo Leveling is supposed to be coming out with a movie for next season.
A Sword Art Online, which I think if we're gonna go ahead and loop it back around to World of Warcraft, is that one did the same thing. And did you ever watch that one?
Sword Art Online, yeah. Yeah, that one was great.
Whoever wrote and animated that show loved World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Dude, watch it again. Pay attention to how they talk about loot, how they talk about parties, how they talk about grouping. Like, it's very definitely like an imagination of like a world that they kind of created with full dive technology, not whatever. But like there's, I don't know. I spent a lot of time playing a lot of different MMOs, and it and maybe because I spent so much time playing WoW, but a lot of things when they're talking, especially in the first season, when the way that they talk about the game and how, like, because the guy Kirito is like, he's like a uber nerd, right? Like he's like really
Right.
good at the game. He's really good at video games. He plays all the betas to all the games and stuff, and he's like a big MMO player, so like he knows all the good MMOs. And it's almost implied that like he's played World of Warcraft a lot, and then like even the world that's here is based on the standards of MMOs. Is kind of like how he speculates about things in the as he's going through his adventure, and he'll like speculate about something like, oh well, like it's because MMOs do this thing, and he'll be talking about something that's like, dude, that falls in line so close to how WoW works. And so I just found myself just really thinking a lot about World of Warcraft as I watched the first and second season of that show. But to get back to what you're saying, Pathern, yeah, that one made a movie like a couple times in between the seasons,
Right.
which was kind of enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. And I feel like that's how they get a lot of their money back from those, because like box
Oh,
office and
theater,
theater
right?
tickets. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you make a lot of money doing that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's not, and there's not a lot of people going to movie theaters, very often. So I think having events like this are good. I know that I go and watch the Miyazaki films every time they come through theaters.
Oh, yeah. I am sort of depressed though that they because now that you mention it, I remember that they had a 4K screening of Princess Mononoke,
Ugh.
and I wanted to see that, but I don't believe they were here in Pittsburgh. It was it was like a limited release and everything.
So do you think VR is ever going to get to the point where they can have like a MMO World of Warcraft type situation where you're just in this virtual reality but exploring the world like World of Warcraft is?
Uh, you mean just like VR for WoW?
Yeah, yeah, VR for WoW, basically.
Somebody has that. They have like mods for VR that let you play like WoW. It's just, you know, um, controller support sucks, basically.
I think it would be See, I don't think it's impossible, but I think people don't necessarily want it. And now I'm not talking about like, let's assume we could go to the type of technology where you could be fully immersed, sort of like Sword Art Online, where you could feel things, you could touch them, and stuff like that. If we could ever get to a point like that, I would say yes. But if we're talking about what I would consider sort of standard VR technology like we have now, um, the problem is it's not just that people don't really want something on their head constantly. Um, Part of the problem is, it makes them motion sick. Maybe they don't want to be immersed in such a level that things like, I don't know, you get a phone call, you might miss it, stuff like that. Whenever we were talking about Steam and Valve and how they're improving their new AR goggles, one of the things they were doing was trying to fight that sickness. And um, again, Gamers Nexus did a whole thing where they were interviewing people from Valve, and they were going through it, and they were showing how, even the lenses are like how camera phones, like if you try to take a picture of something, they have that image stabilization. And so if you would take a phone apart and look at the camera, you can actually see the camera actually has the ability to sort of move up, down, left, and right just a little bit to stabilize it. And essentially, they're trying to do that with VR goggles as well. But the problem is we've done this sort of dance before, even before the modern VR stuff, even before stuff like the Virtual Boy, which we all know how the good old black and red goggles made everybody sick and given headaches and stuff. But I think people might just not want it. It just seems like it's something that comes around every now and again, and people will try it. There may be a few good games with it, but it just always seems to fall flat as far as history is concerned. But if they could do something like World of Warcraft and really do that, you know, that would probably be the singular game changer that we all need. It's just there's a lot to do with VR that you really, really have to get right to really be immersed in it and everything, and want to keep playing in it and not feel sick.
Yeah, I think this is the standards for suspension of disbelief are a lot higher inevitably, like just like it's baked in inherently for VR experiences. I think people recognize when something is off much easier when like the first initial experience is like, oh, this is like I'm standing or my hands are here, I'm interacting with this. This is like one for the world. And then when something is like jarring or not exactly that or the resolution or something like it stands out so much harder than, something happening on your screen sitting in front of you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I was thinking more along the lines of, have you seen Ready Player One?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I was thinking more along the lines of that, like not actually like immersed where you're like laying down and you like are in a dream state type situation, more of like you're
Oh,
like
the running track.
the track, yes. And I know that they have tracks like that now.
So okay, so that also, right? I saw a streamer. There was one. There was a girl that was doing it, and then after a few weeks, I actually saw like 4 to 6 people pop up, and they were doing the same thing. They have this track thing where there's a frame, a sort of like metal frame, and it's got a waist belt strap that you latch to your waist. And so now you're strapped in. If you wanted to like kind of hang, it would support your weight. So you're kind of like held in place, sort of, with this belt above this um, moving pad that's got like a sheet, some sort of material that is grippy, right, for you on your side of it. I imagine it's pretty frictionless on the underside of it, and so you can walk, move side to step to the side, and it translates. And they're specifically playing World of Warcraft. They got a VR headset on. They have a controller. They're using console port, and then they're using the movement on their feet and what they're doing. They've like tied that into keyboard binds. So you have to move left a certain speed and amount, and it like depresses the button a certain amount. You know what I mean? Like it's
So are they playing it first person?
basically yes.
See, that'd be cool.
Yeah, you can see in their thing, like I don't know how they're doing the animations that are like in front of them. They have to be doing something really weird with an add-on with the camera. But if I remember correctly, they do have like their arms and stuff and the weapons they're using that's like in front of them. And um yeah, like I think they're like using like a sort of like gesture for certain things, but it doesn't translate well, because
Right.
like so I think that for something like that, World of Warcraft's a great example, right? Because it's such a good game, such a popular game, and so many people already play it. Um, but in order to have a good experience, I think it has to be built from the ground up to be a first person perspective, for the cameras to be meaningfully able to like adjust for the user. And the setup they have just looks so clunky and uncomfortable. I would want to play a different game. I'd still want to play that experience. I would just want to do it with a different game. And I think they can only play on like classic. Like they don't seem to be playing on retail for some reason. I think like classic is the like where they've able to get it to work.
You got to also think like the technology that is in your computer right now. I mean, look how big your computer is. I mean, you could smash it down, but there's components in there that have to be the size that they're at. They don't make them any smaller than what
Yeah.
some of these have them. So to be able to get that technology to go into something that you put over your head is difficult at this point.
We usually have to have a PC running, right?
And just have it plugged into it.
And yeah, you have your VR headsets are like running the camera software and then like the video software sort of like on like how it's being rendered to your screen, but the actual like processing for all of it is happening on your PC. So you still need a PC. Like I don't know, let's just say Cyberpunk 2077 has VR support, right? It's still running on your PC. You just like the VR headset, if I have this correct, and I don't own one, so I don't know, but the VR headset is like it brings its own like power to the party. Right? It's like BYOB, because like the hardware in the headset, I believe, is intended to render that on the screens in front of your face.
Same way Xbox does it with Xbox Live Game Pass, where you can play it on anything.
Yeah, I guess in that sense, where they're running it on servers
It's
and
all
they're
on the
streaming
cloud,
it over
yeah.
to you. Yeah.
On the cloud.
Yeah, except you're running it on your computer and it's being streamed over to your headset instead of
Right.
a screen in front of you or whatever. But yeah, so you still need a really good computer, and the hardware that they have, that's kind of why they've been able to like offset some of the weight, right? They're putting more on the PC, on like the software that's running on there. I think they've even got some VR goggles that are like really small and very lightweight and pretty high quality.
Yeah, I mean, I have the MetaQuest 3, and I mean, it's cool and everything, but I mean, the graphics are nowhere close to like where we're at on like a monitor.
See, that's again, this goes back to if a game is designed specifically for that, we can go to a different animation style that like suits the power range that we're working with on those systems, right?
Right.
Like classic WoW. Which is
exactly.
again probably why they run it on classic WoW, but also probably add-on support is like better in classic versions than it is in retail.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be cool. I would play it. If I ever got like a VR headset. But I think for me personally, I'm very hesitant to get a VR headset unless I had some sort of I would have to have something that I am definitely going to use it for, because I know that for me, for for playing video games, it would just be a very momentary gimmick, and then I would just be out like $700.
Well, you have a kid, don't you?
Yeah, but she's one.
Yeah. Wait till she gets to like 5-6 years old.
Yeah, I think there's definitely
That'll be the
some
point where you
potential.
get one. Yeah, that'll be the point where you get one.
Yeah, and you know, I might end up because I program right now. I might end up like building like games for because I know they have like dev kits for those like VR headsets. You know.
Yeah.
So I think stuff like that is like really cool too, right? Like being able to like have the opportunity to get some tools to like build like add-ons or something for like Minecraft or Roblox or something, and then put the headset on and really go in there and like play with the thing that you just made, right? It's cheaper than Legos, that's for sure.
Was
plus
it you? Was it you the one that was saying that you got the bike, that DLC bike, and you were gonna give it to your daughter whenever she got old enough to play WoW, and she would be like the only one having
Yes.
it? Okay,
When World of Warcraft had the Mountain Dew promotion for getting the Fell Cycle, the red one,
Yeah.
I created her an account. I hadn't actually found out if I was having a daughter or a son yet. I just kind of I made the assumption. I was like, obviously, I'm the universe is just going to give me what I want here. So let me just assume it's my daughter, and I already had a name picked out. So I I just created an account for her because I had the code, and then I used the code on it, and it hasn't played any WoW or done anything yet. But like the account has the it's already retrieved, I guess, the code. So she's
Cool.
got it. It's going to
Yeah.
show up. It's going to be the first mount she ever gets.
That's
At
awesome.
level 1. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna play video games with her. I hope
Yeah.
she's really into that stuff. She will be as a kid, but just like kind of going on after that.
Right.
plus by that time, you'll actually be able to afford RAM.
Hopefully.
Well, they're coming out with a new RAM, right? So maybe I'll be able to afford that RAM.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, and just as an aside, hopefully that Chinese firm comes out with it, and as we move from the DDR sticks to the CAM2, that also becomes cheaper.
You know what? Actually, I've been thinking about this, and what I actually think is probably more likely going to happen is we're going to have a huge AI explosion, which is going to be really great for us because they're going to do all the work, and then we're going to have like universal health care, and then we're going to have like extended lifetimes. But then the problem that comes with that is they don't care about money; they just care about productivity. So then, like, in order for me to afford RAM, I'm going to have to sell like 10 years of my life in service like later on. And they're like, okay, don't worry about it now, though. Like, with 200 years from now, you'll have to do the work. But like right now, you're good to go. Just enjoy that RAM. And I don't know if I hate that because in that situation, I have RAM, and it's probably going to be top market.
Right.
Because right now, I don't have any RAM, and I don't know what's worse. So on to our next news item. We have the Sporefall Raid that's coming in patch 12.0.7, and there's some interesting things about this raid that I think when you think about them with something that Templar had said earlier about the cadence cycles, and then something that I was actually talking about Templar even before the podcast was like just kind of the way that it seems there's been a change in Blizzard's approach to how gear is funneled into the bags of players. I think if you take all of these things and the stuff that we're about to talk about right now, there seems to be a change in how we are playing this game that maybe nobody's really caught on to yet. So specifically here for Sporefall, what we're getting is one more bonus roll. That's pretty cool. There's going to be a weekly quest that we can do. Then you kill the boss for the raid, and you get the Void Core. I imagine you can probably kill it on normal and up, maybe even LFR and up, and they'll give you a Void Core anyways. That would be really nice. This is actually pretty cool because this adds one more Void Core to like the weekly amount that you'd be getting, and right now there's one from the Great Vault if you don't get what you want. So like if you don't get exactly what you want, it's probably a good idea to just pass on it as long as you have at least 3 options in your vault, so that way you get 6 of the tokens, and then you buy a void core, and now you have 3 void cores for the week. But with this 12.0.7, if you do the weekly and you choose the tokens, you'll end up with 4 void cores, which is either 4 pieces from a mythic plus loot table, which do plus 10, you'll get mythic gear, or that's 2 rolls per week in a raid. And now a raid that gives the other part of this, the entire table is bind on warbound. Like it's bound, it's warbound until equipped, which is crazy. So they've never really done that before, where your character can directly go into the raid to get the gear that's the best, and then hand it to your alt directly, via Warbound. That's it. I think that's really different. Very, very different. How do you feel about that, Pathran?
I mean, I have an alt. Like, I mean, I'm technically playing on my alt right now. Like, I'm a hunter through and through, but just this season, hunter has felt so like clunky that I haven't want to do it. I haven't wanted to do it. And then when they fixed the things that they needed to fix, my warlock was so much of a higher level than what my hunter was. Like, I didn't even want to like grind it out to get my hunter back up. I mean, it's still not the greatest at this point, but to be able to go into this place and then give my hunter like myth track gear to catch him up to the level that I'm at right now would be awesome. I think it's a great idea. I think for alts, it's definitely going to help out a lot. I know some people don't like. I had never ran with an alt until this season, so I mean, I know that some people that's not going to matter to, but a lot of the people I know have alts and would be willing to play them if they didn't have to grind it out for so long. Because, I mean, realistically, what I want to do is I want to grind out the highest content available and like push myself to try to be the best that I can be. And I'm fighting for that score. Like, I want to get a little bit better, 1 point more, one more boss. And to do that, I have to continue to build my character, and allowing me to like build a different character seems like a big win for alts.
I think that's fair because you as a player are in that content. Yeah, you're not playing a shaman in that content, but like you're in that content. And more it seems to be that that's what players want. They want, right? Like if we're being realistic, if we're like in a guild or a group or a pug or something, like we're in a pug, we're trying to get a group together, and the person we pull in, like it's really important that they've done the thing and they know the mechanics, because if they know the mechanics, then at the very least, like that's not what's holding them back. Because if the mechanics are holding you back, you kind of can't help.
Right.
So if you can, yeah, if the only thing that's stopping you from doing it is learning the mechanics, but you're already learning them on your main, like, is it really that bad to just be funneling your alts the gear that you've genuinely earned at that level? It's almost like the idea with delves, right? You unlock a tier 11 delve, and your brand new fresh alt can just jump into T11s.
Right.
So I like that.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. It's definitely going to help out.
Templar, you got any thoughts?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say everything Pathran said. I agree with too, and it does really seem to be that we're going to an alt-friendly, a truly alt-friendly paradigm. I mean, obviously we've been building on this since Shadowlands, and for those of us who suffered with it, we all know the how not just limiting. It was almost like, for lack of a better word, strangling with the limited choice we had, and wasn't just with alts; it was stuff with the covenants and everything. So for them to do this, and I think it's also, it's not just that they're making it alt friendly. like Squirrelthug said earlier, we were discussing it earlier before we started the podcast, and we both agreed that this is also, really piggybacking on the bonus roll system, and we're really seeing the ability to shuffle. How do I put it? Shuffle gear, and everybody is going to be at a higher level of gear than we've normally been. I think you can take it away on how you put it, Squirrelthug.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, some of these things are starting to kind of overlap in my head when I'm seeing them, and they're all these different news reports of these different systems, of these little things that we're seeing all around. Pathran, I believe you were like one of the things related to this in my head was actually the bug that you were experiencing earlier on one of your alts, where you were getting the same piece of gear over and over, the same slot.
Right. Yeah, that was real early in this expansion. I was getting it was the drums trinket over and over and over again. Every time, like during like the nightfall, not the what is that? Where it has nightmare hardcore, the
Oh, the
nemesis.
prey system?
Yeah, the prey system. Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I was getting, and it was just the same stuff over and over and over. And then the keys for the first season, it was also like that, where I was only getting one-handed weapons, and then my vault was all one-handed weapons.
Yeah, it seemed to have it was affecting personal loot. Like in the experiences the players are having, if they were to get something that was tied to a personal loot system, an underlying loot system, then that was what was being affected. So if it was something like raid, not LFR, LFR is personal loot. So normal and up, you wouldn't be seeing those errors. If you were paying attention to that and that bug and how that was happening, and kind of, I think there was a point where me in an old episode, me and Shaq were speculating on kind of what's going on there, and maybe there's an underlying system, but they didn't just roll it back and just cut it out. Like the problem persists, and maybe they're trying to fix some underlying system that they have where they're trying to track the gear that players get and more frequently steadily give them a piece of gear that is going to actually be an upgrade, and not like simulating or trying to figure out in theory craft kind of stuff, just straight eye level improvement, right? Like you're not going to get a bracer, but you already have mythic bracers, but this is a heroic thing, right? Like you're here, you came to this thing so you can replace like the last heroic belt you have and you can be full mythic. Maybe there's an underlying system there that's going to give you that belt in that situation. So you're not here spending a ton of time, which means less time to get to your full potential of what you believe that you want to be by the end of the season. I think I was saying that before, like it'd be really cool for players to get to where they believe that they want to be well before the end of the season so that they can experience and run the reps on the content that they want to play. And now we have all these systems that are just like shoving gear down our throats. The bug that you experience, there's a sort of tie-in with the bug for the Void Core system where people were getting copies of the same thing. The thing to take out of that is that when they apologized for it, they had another post that explained what was happening, and that in their QA system, the A character is an array of tables. So it's just a series of tables. And let's say you used a Void Core and a +10, and you got the pants. And then you went to a +11 because you just did really well. And so you do whatever, you go into a +11, and or somebody has a +11, you want to run the same key, and you just up it, right? And then you don't drop it down to a 10. You go into 11, that's a different table. So you got now you have separate tables, and you got unlucky, and you got the pants again. So now they had to go in, they had to clear those tables. They had to rewrite the code so that it's pointing dynamically to the correct table, and that each 10 +10 +11 +12, they're not giving themselves like replicated like tables or a table for each loot system, now that there's this group binding of a system on the back end, right? So they had to go and they had to correct that. But what it did was it told us that on the back end of our characters, we have tables. We have like a database table, like an Excel spreadsheet for a bunch of different things. Now, if we take that into account with the bug that you experience and maybe think that there's something that they're doing in the background to adjust and dynamically approach the table so that you get something that's worthwhile to you, that if that system were to go in place would actually increase and accelerate the path that we're already on in season 1 of Midnight, which is again the first time that they've done something what it feels like that they're doing, because they've not announced anything and they've not said that they've changed the way that they're approaching gear. But then again, tying in now what Templar had said about the cadence being sped up, it would make sense to get gear even faster with the fact that they've locked into these cadence like times, right? That's my whole thought on it.
Well, also I want to point out that so the 10 and 11, what was happening earlier, people were rolling on that and then getting the same gear on the 11. That I feel like should, because it happened to so many people, that kind of shows me that it's not as random as what people think it is. Like if you got the same gear on a 10 and then you got the same gear again on the 11, it seems like the starting gear for that loot table is always going to be the same.
Maybe not always. I think statistically, right? Because the idea was that it didn't happen to everyone, and it didn't happen every time. It's just that it was the rare time that it did happen because so many people engaged with the system first day, second day, right? Like the number of bugs for those rare edge cases were like pretty significant. So like, and you're rolling on just the loot table for that dungeon. I think I counted them up for some of them. It's only about like 8 items per table, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that it happened to a lot of people. I don't know if it happened the same way, because a lot of people were running the same key. Like they would go back down to a 10 and then they would run it again. They would just queue up
So
for
I don't
10.
know. Yeah, there's probably more moving parts going on with
Yeah.
that, and they never really tell us everything. But I do like it when they do tell us like some details, because then we
Yeah.
get to like kind of speculate on what they're doing on the back end.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope it's all random, but it feels like it's not as random as what it seems. If the system's bugged a little bit because they're not showing it as separate things. Like
Yeah, why
for the
would it
drums,
bug to force one item at you? Right?
yeah,
It feels like that's a weird bug to have, unless you have an
Exactly.
underlying system that's actually trying to do that.
Yeah, to give you that first and then
Yeah.
go into another one. Like there's a sequence to the loot
Yeah,
pieces that
it's
you
supposed to
get.
have a weighted value, but it's just like way over, like multiplied,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Yeah. I think that's it's pretty safe speculation about this. I mean, again, they don't tell us a lot of stuff, but if let's say they flesh that out, maybe that was one of the things that me and Shaq were saying, is the fact that they didn't roll it back. Maybe it's something they're trying to bake in, and they're trying to fix all the bugs and stuff in it right now. That way, maybe for the Last Titan, they can make that announcement and say, "Hey, by the way, come play World of Warcraft. You're guaranteed to get the best loot, or you're guaranteed to get an upgrade every time, right?" Like, and I think that some people would have not maybe believed that Blizzard would or could do something like that, because it means players would be out of the game faster. But now with the heightened cadence for patch cycles and I mean seasons, the seasonal cadence is pretty high, but the patch cycle cadence is super high.
So how long until the next season?
I think we get 6 months for each season, right? Something like that.
Okay.
And then it's like 18 months, a year and a half for a whole expansion, which is like lightning fast.
Yeah.
2 months between each one, each patch within each season. So 6 months just about.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember when they promised to keep up with a cadence like that? Because they had kind of been speeding their thing up and getting a little bit better with everything. And then they're like, here's the cadence that we want to do eventually. And we're working our way to that. And it's like, wow, that is fast, but you're nowhere near that. So, maybe it's just like a really hopeful goal that they're not going to get. And every year they got closer. I think it only actually took them a year and a half to 2 years to like actually hit the cadence that they promised. And they were struggling even when with that, right? But they ironed it out eventually.
Yeah, they still left it very open ended for this expansion here. Do you remember whenever you pre-ordered it when they said it says at the latest it'll be June when this releases? So they left it very open ended on when it was going to like actually come out.
Yeah, I remember people were still speculating on when it was going to launch.
I was like,
'Cause
June, this is crazy. Yeah.
yeah, things are getting faster though. Like
Yeah,
if
they
there's,
are.
there's anything that happens, it comes out sooner than it does later.
Yeah, which I don't know if that like I feel like they're trying to push it out too fast and it's coming out with like a lot of bugs.
Yeah,
And they're having to like
1205 was bad.
yeah, they're having to like hot fix stuff and like the game's crashing on people and like
To their credit, they fixed it all really fast.
they did. And I guess the fastest way to fix problems is to test it on everybody. So we're just the guinea pigs.
Yeah, I think that's what's the sort of the consideration for some people who are like using their void cores initially. And I think the only people that really benefited from this whole thing happening is if you use your void cores and you got exactly what you wanted and you're never going to roll on that table again, that's good. Because basically they wiped all the tables and then they gave you your void cores back. So let's say you only got pants. Well, after the wipe and after the refund, you'll go back in and you get pants again, like it's not still bugged. It's just it's the right table now, but it's wiped. So you got to start over. But if you had already, but they didn't take the gear away. So if you had already got the trinket that you were going for, you could just spend those void cores on something else now.
Right.
So lucky for those guinea pigs, you know.
Did anyone save any void cores for tonight?
I
I
still
did
have.
not.
Yeah, I only have one left that I'm gonna try to spend on a puzzle box. But yeah, I wish I had an extra one that I
To
could
burn for
use
that
for the.
Allenseer.
Yeah,
If we can get Chimeras down and then the first boss on Void Spire down, we'll have a slot available in the vault and hopefully. But I don't think do things drop twice in the vault anymore? Like if I already got the heroic version of the Void the Allseer, do I get a chance again for the mythic one? In the
Like
vault?
if you've already got it in your bags, or if you get a heroic and a
No.
mythic of the same item.
Well, I my Allseer came from the vault. I got it from the vault.
Mine too, but I got a
So
heroic version from the vault.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is it going to give us like? Is it ever going to pop up in our vault again? Even for like
It should, right? I don't think that the vault works like the void core system. I think I've gotten things I've already had shown up, right? But I've not paid attention, so I couldn't say that with confidence.
Yeah, I'm not.
Maybe
I'm
one of
not
our
entirely
listeners
sure.
know. You can comment on YouTube.
but yeah, I'm not entirely sure either.
Well, hopefully.
Well, 12.0.7 has more than just a raid and a crazy new way that Blizzard seems to be doing gearing and their lightning fast cadences. There's some pretty cool stuff. I know there's some mounts, Voidforged mech suit. There's also a Deathwing onesie. It looks like a really fluffy, like pajamas, and there's also a black dragon version of it, the same thing. So it's kind of like almost the same, slightly different color, but with like a dragon head instead of like Deathwing's like metal jaw head, the Jay Leno jaw, and yeah, and I think maybe the shoulders are different too. But it's like it's almost the same. But it's cool because there's two sets. You know.
Yeah, I really like the onesie. I think it's pretty cool. And we did get a few new weapon models. It was right before the podcast. One of them is a two-handed frost sword that looks really cool.
Another thing for stylish stuff that's coming, they have the sort of Badlands armor set, And when I was looking at it, my first thought was, "Oh wow, that's a really cool like leather adventure set." Because like there's like the questing gear, and the questing gear kind of has its like aesthetic, like it has a look, but it's not like class based. It's armor type based. So like the plate armor that you find in the leveling zones for midnight are all going to be like visually the same.
Right.
They do it with each class, each armor class. Um, I thought this was the leather armor class version of like 12.0.7. Like we're gonna get a new 4 new sets of whatever, and we can just go and get it because it kind of just looked like that, but it's 5 different recolors of this same set, and I think they're also tagged for like um, the trading post and maybe like the shop or something. Like so, there's a chance that we're just gonna be able to get this Badlands armor set in a number of different ways, and I'm probably gonna want to get all of them. But it makes you look like a bandito. Like it looks like the belt that you have. Has 6 shooters, 2 holsters on each side, a holster on each side, and 6 shooters in each holster. It has like a leather jacket that has like the where like the top end has the little tassels that come off of it, right? Like that second layer, leather layer. The hat is a genuine, real cowboy hat, which we've not gotten in the game yet. It looks like it comes attached with a bandana, but they could be doing what they've done before, where you get the armor set and you get like variations of the helm. So you get the helm that's like the hat, the cowboy hat, and the thing, and then maybe 2 more that's just one or the other. The bandana or the hat. But dude, I'm so excited. I'm gonna dress my outlaw rogue up like a cowboy or cowgirl.
Yeah, I it looks cool for a hunter. I think it'll be awesome for a hunter. Get a nice little gun with it.
Oh yeah, a little wooden rifle. They got the mold ones, maybe from like Gilneas.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a cool little rifle.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
they got Badlands guns as well as they have nice little Badlands daggers. They look a lot like the South American gaucho knives.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so I think those are really cool. So those would be right up your alley as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This one looks really cool. I like the cosmetics that are coming, and the Black Dragon onesie or the Deathwing onesie. That's pretty exciting. I like to go around and collect some transmog stuff, but I won't just get everything just as like a collector. Like I'll go out of my way to get every mount that I can get, but I usually don't like chase armor if I don't have like an alt that I'm specifically going to put it on. How do you approach transmog path? Do you like care about it? Is it a thing for you?
Yeah, I mean, I try to make my character look cool. Like, I usually don't wear like the funny stuff too often. Um, the most out.
Try to stay like lore accurate.
Well, I mean, yeah, stuff that makes my character look badass, I guess,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm doing like higher content, and I want my character to look intimidating. I did like the mushroom transmog that I had as a warlock because I was
Yeah.
undead. Like that was pretty cool. I like that one.
Yeah, I think the mushrooms look really good on undead models.
Yeah. Um, but right now I have the mythic tier set on as my for my warlock, and that's usually what I do. For my hunter, I had all raid gear on from the seasons before, but I also like to go to like the trading post and like see if they have any quivers or bows in there that look cool. And
I get where you're coming from with that. I like to dress my main rogue. It's the only male model I have. And I like to dress him up like a badass assassin. Nax had this Wrath of the Lich King Nax Ram has had this armor set, Valorous Bone Scythe armor set, and it is a gorgeous armor set. And even on the undead, which it always looks like worn down and stuff, it still looks beautiful. That one, I love that armor set, but it's just so it looks so fancy. It's something that like now with situations, it's something that I wear in town, you know? But when I'm out like fighting PvP or like PvE or something, I really want to look like an assassin, you know?
Right.
And I'm hoping they fix that bug we talked about where, um, for some reason, the if you change the sheathing on your weapon in one outfit and you have another outfit that's just modifies everything except for the sword, for some reason you have to not only transmog that sword but also change the sheathing on it, which you know
Yeah, you
doesn't
have to
make
manually
sense.
set the sheathing. There's no like default sheathing. It just takes whatever is like already on there from the last thing that was applied.
Right, right.
So again, a series of tables. The character has a table, and there's a slot for it for whatever, but there's no default thing for when you apply a transmog table to your character sheet table. If that new table doesn't come with an instruction to change the way that your outfit is sheathing its weapons, it just still has what it already has. Like it doesn't just default to a default, like go back to whatever it was like always. It'll, it's like individually being dynamically changed. So a bug. And I don't know, I know a little bit about databases to know that I would not want that job.
Yeah.
I mean, they're confusing enough when they work right.
Yeah, seriously. And we all know that there's only so much duct tape and toothpicks in the world that can help sustain a game like this. So
Yeah, imagine another 20 years. I'm curious to where they take it after that, right? Like, or if along the way they admit that it's better to just bite the bullet and start building now, right? Like a more hub and spoke system, perhaps that's not so integrated with each other with all the overlaps that I'm sure are causing a lot of bugs and like got a stranglehold on the development team. Like maybe they can just really be sprinting and doing cool stuff that they can't do at all in this game if they just rebuild the engine. And but that's the thing is like if it's like a game like that and they put that effort, do they really want to just do that for WoW? It is a big hitter, and if it goes another 20 years, it's a significant game at that point. But do they want to do all that development and just like, I don't know, so to speak, waste it on WoW, or do they want to try to like run a new IP
right.
and then maybe see if like WoW players go and jump over, Would you?
For new IP,
MMO. A new
oh no,
MMO with all the lessons they learned from WoW, but better, right?
If it was like a um better graphics,
It would definitely be
better graphics and like classic WoW where it was more gritty and like one faction hated the other faction and people like teamed up and fucked up the other faction. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss on here, but
I edit it out, and I miss
okay.
some of them sometimes, but it's fine. You can do whatever.
Okay. But yeah, so I would definitely play it if it was like that. You know what I mean? Like if it was like back to like
Like a
classic WoW.
Diablo level, because again they still do the gore stuff, right? We just saw a Korn music video with like Attack on Titan level gore. I saw people getting smashed and ripped apart, by Diablo himself. So Diablo, the franchise under Blizzard, has this sort of leeway to do more in the dark area, right? I think that would be cool. Like an MMO that is as fun and engaging and has as many unique systems and stuff or whatever that makes like WoW really fun, but like dark. Like I think I'd like that because I like Diablo. I just don't like playing it all the time. I love playing WoW all the time though.
Yeah, I feel like after like the first couple weeks for me on like new expansions and everything, like I'm just back to running keys because there's nothing interesting I really want to do unless, then to build up my character. Like there's not like a point where we can be like, hey, let's go over to these people's base and like mess with them, or let's go over to like the capital city and see if we can mess with these people. You know what I mean?
That's kind of why I like that. As of right now, we're sort of heading in a direction like that because like you can get really good gear from Delves and the praise system and some other stuff like that, right? I think somebody was talking about hovering over their Great Vault for the world tier, and I don't like as it stands right now. Let's say you're in like the raid tier, and you hover over it, and the tooltip says this piece of item is currently like heroic. You can make this a mythic piece by doing like this thing, right? Like it's very instructive. It kind of tells you what to do. They did that over like the world tier, and it was specifically for like the delves that they had done, and it said something to the extent of like, this is a heroic piece of gear, but you can bump it up to you can get this slot to be a mythic piece of gear if you go and do T13s. But right now, like we cap out at T11s, like tier 11s for delves. And there's a speculation that new tiers are going to come, and that goes hand in hand with the labyrinth delves. They were talking about a much bigger delve that you can walk away from and has like checkpoint systems in it and come back later. Like literally, like leave the dungeon and come back later. I know delves are really cool for a lot of people because you can walk away from your game. You can leave your computer and come back and then sit back down and then just finish the delve. But like these new bigger delves, there's maybe it's the person seeing the tooltip maybe is a bug. It's not supposed to be integrated yet, to kind of like tell players, hey, you can get mythic gear from world tier now. So that's not been confirmed. I haven't seen it. Wowhead talk about it or anything. It was just a anecdotal thing that somebody had seen as they were hovering over their vault. But interesting, right? That that maybe we're it just goes into what we were saying or just in the last bit where gear's just coming more and more. But maybe we get different systems that are like really enjoyable and we can do those instead for the gear. Like we can go and do PvP and get gear that's relevant for both, right? And they still haven't really figured that out. Like PvP gear is PvP gear and PvE gear is separated. So I don't know um how they do that, you know? I mean, I think the tooltip would be very busy if you added in if you just like if PvP gear was just like baked into regular gear, right? Like cuz right now you see that like agility for me, right? Agility would be grayed out and then I would have intellect because I'm on my resto druid. But if I were to switch over to feral, like it would swap and I would see intellect grayed out, and then I would see like agility highlighted, and that's what I'm getting from the gear. Like if there's just another layer on that for like the stats that PvP wants, like we could just continue on combining gear in that way, and then it can drop from anywhere. Like, and then it doesn't matter where you get it, and you can get it anywhere.
Yeah.
However, that being said, and as good as I think that would be on the experience of the player of how well you are able to reach the gear that you want and the power level that you seek well before the end of the season, I think that when it comes to us recruiting or anyone putting together a pug or something like that, um, you may end up with a situation where people have gotten gear way too fast and they've outgeared their ability. And so they have gear, but it doesn't really match what like the baseline average is for someone at that gear level. Um, so yeah, we all get gear really fast and everything is happening really fast, but also we kind of have to be a little picky about who we join groups with and stuff, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, whenever you get up to like that kind of level of performing, uh people get a little like their assholes become more prevalent whenever because everyone thinks that they're the fucking
High
best.
stakes.
Yeah.
High
They
tension,
think
high stakes, high rewards. People are really tense in those hierarchies.
yeah, and if you're not doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, like the toxicity of everybody else towards you becomes extremely high, you know? Like you could mess up one mechanic and everyone just like you get like blacklisted because there's a system where you can like mark players as like not good players and then that sticks with you because you got a bad rep on
But
a key.
you need like more than one player to flag you or something, right? Because
Well,
that
I
would be
mean,
dumb if it was just one person doesn't like you. Dude, if that's the case, I'll go in and I'll just start using the add-on to just flag everybody, ruin the whole system.
well, I mean, here, let me see. Let me see if it shows me mine real
But
fast.
but a system enabled, an add-on enabled to blackball players, that's crazy.
Well, it's like a review on how you did. Like, and there's multiple reviews, you know?
Oh, like a written review.
Well, it's either you did good or you didn't do
Is
good.
it a written review? Can you see them?
Yeah. Well, I was able to
Oh,
see them
that's so
last season.
wonderful. I hope
Let me
that's
see.
still around. That sounds entertaining. Can you only see what's written about you? Or no, because other people would have to be able to read it, right? So that they can like a restaurant review.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like an add-on that I had last season that I don't have anymore. So I
Okay, so it's
can't
like a Yelp for players.
basically. And like on the keys, like it'll tell you if the player's good to play with or not good to play with. Like, is he gonna do what he needs to be doing, or if he's not? But like I said, when you're playing these higher content keys or this higher content stuff, if you mess up one mechanic, you're gonna get this bad review, and it's gonna be hard for you to get back in there because
And I think that's unfair because no one's gonna get done with a key and no one did really crazy well, but no one died. You know, it was just kind of average. It was good content for everyone that was present, and they're not going to go in there and go, "Let me give all four of these other people really good reviews because we all did a really good job." Like nobody's going to do that. But when you mess something up, somebody's going to blame you instead of them, you know, themselves, and then the scathing review is incoming. That doesn't seem like a good system, but I can see why players would want to lean on something like that.
yeah. And then also, I mean, everybody's still gonna look at your parts too at the higher levels too. They're gonna look up your name.
Yeah, I think the parse matters more, right?
Yeah. And that's why a lot of people don't like completing keys if they're not gonna time it. Like that's why they'll vote to abandon on the higher keys a lot faster. Like if one wipe isn't going to necessarily bust the key for you, but that's going to hurt your parse significantly. So if they do complete this key with the one wipe, yes, you might time it, but your parse is going to look very bad for the key comparably to other parses. Like say you're like last season on my hunter.
Oh, and that looks bad on you as a player when you go into the
Right.
next key trying to, so
Right.
it does make sense to just abandon it.
Right.
See, that's a design choice by Blizzard, and the players have figured out a way to play around that, but that's not serving us, I don't think, right?
Well, I mean, is Warcraft logs Blizzard supported?
I don't think
I don't
so.
think it is. I don't think it is. So, I mean, it wasn't a Blizzard design at all. It's the player's design to manipulate the system.
Well, yeah, I guess, right? Like it's because we want to log everything, we want to check and see kind of like where we're at. I mean that in the sense of like Blizzard hasn't put something in the game for us to reliably have
Right.
some way to like group with the right type of people, you know? And the LFR system or like the dungeon queue system, like those things are really good for like the low stakes stuff, but it is really hard to like do the thing you're supposed to do for a key because a key or a raid, right? Or like PvP content, these are done through like the group system tab, but you're manually building the teams. And there's a group
Yeah.
leader, there's a raid lead, and you got to put it all together, and you got to take everyone there, and and that makes sense. It's just I think there's a lot of friction in that process that you know maybe could get worked out in a way. Yeah, I think they can make it better.
LFR also gets like after the first couple weeks, and when people start getting geared out, like these new players that are going into LFR to try to learn the raid aren't learning anything because you got these high level characters coming in there and just blowing through these bosses. So they're sitting there for like 2 seconds, not even really having to do mechanics because they're not going to wipe on LFR. So they're not learning anything, and they're just having these people carry them through them because these other guys
Yeah.
are helping their other friends, you know? So, I mean, I feel like there's definitely people out there looking for people to run raids with, to run keys with. It's just you gotta cultivate these people too, because for real, me, I only started back in season 2 of War Within. And I
For
hadn't
keys?
played for anything.
Oh, for
Like I
raid.
wasn't for anything. Like I had just started the game back up from like Wrath of the Lich King was the last expansion.
Oh man.
And even in Wrath of the Lich King, I wasn't doing any high content. Like the first raid I ever went into was the Galliwix one.
Oh, Liberation of Undermine. Wow. Wow.
Yep. First raid I ever went into.
What did you just do dungeons before? Or with like solo content?
Yeah. I was doing solo content. Like what I did to level up my character was do delves. I got all hero gear, and that was a grind to get all hero gear from delves because I'd have to wait for the vaults and everything. And then I didn't even know what mythic keys were. Like I saw mythic keys, but I had no idea how to get into them because again, like I was completely new to the game and how everything worked. So realistically, like I've only been playing for about a year now. But you know, I'm a decently good gamer and I pick up things pretty fast with it. But I've also been given the opportunity to cultivate my skills with like people, and people have been like back during like our first pull on Rick Reverb. I'm sure I was not doing the greatest, you know?
I don't even remember. I just remember we were having fun.
Yeah.
I remember
And
Liberation of Undermine was a lot of fun.
yeah. And then I met people, other hunters. Castro was there. You remember Castro?
I do.
Yep.
Yeah, Castro was a really good hunter, and he
Good old
helped me out a
Fidel.
lot. Yeah, yeah, good old Fidel. He helped me out a lot with my rotation and everything, and got me better as a player. Showed me all the links and stuff, and
Liberation of Undermine was the same raid that I was in, and I had also joined the guild like mid-season on that one, and I had raided before and like done some other stuff and like some casual raids and stuff. I did the Queen Nonsarak raid like kind of on a casual normal, but I had never tried like Mythic or anything, and these guys are pushing heroic, and they're about to get into Mythic, and my parsers were not great, and Kyressa helped me, and it was like one conversation that we had, and it was like either right after a Monday night raid or right before a Tuesday night raid, so I'd already played really terrible and like gray parsed, and then I was like, oh, that's the thing I'm supposed to be doing instead of that other thing, and then I shot up to like 60 to 70% parses. And I was like, dude, this is great. So it's always really good to have like other players around you that are better than you know, because that's how you get better. If you're the best
right.
one, can't do nothing for you.
Yeah, there's nowhere to move, and to ever think that you're the best player, just watch the World First Guilds,
Yeah,
and you'll
right.
realize, yeah, you have room
Go
to
apply to
grow.
liquid.
Yeah,
Even they have room to grow. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. They're not killing the boss first try. They can
Well,
always do better and grow.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I always thought that was really funny, especially now with Mythic Plus in the game, where people will talk about they'll go in the trade chat and they'll talk about how the game is easy and it's made for casuals, and it's like, what's your highest key? You know, or back in the day, it used to be, what's your highest achievement in raid? Like, link your achievement. I want to see your like heroic achievement for Lich King or something. Like, it's easy. The game's easy, right? Like, obviously you've beat the game. Let's see your achievements. You know, and I think with the way that Mythic Plus works, that is baked in. right? It's super obvious because all you have to do is just say, like, okay, well, let me see your highest key. If the game is so easy, maybe, like go the keys scale to infinity, so
Yeah,
it can't be too easy. It just keeps
it's
going.
definitely not easy. But there's some people that will die all the time and still say everything's so easy, as long as somebody else is doing something right.
Yeah, no, I got a couple friends that play League of Legends like that.
Yeah. It's all because of somebody else that
There's always
we didn't.
somebody else.
Yeah.
Let me give you guys this well thought out, typed up 5 paragraph response about how each and every one of you is not doing exactly what you need to be doing. And don't
Dude,
worry, I left me out of this rant because I did everything right.
dude, it's hilarious when a key gets bricked, like how the fingers just start pointing. It's like, oh, the fucking healer was dog shit, and the healer's like, nah, the tank was fucking dog shit, and the tank's like, nah, the fucking DPS couldn't do anything. They weren't
Yeah.
interrupted. Like, guys, we all busted the key. We all are at fault somewhere. Like, we all could
Yeah,
have done
we're in
something
this.
differently. Yeah,
We're all in a ship and it is sinking.
yeah.
There you go.
And you all are all part of it.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. Like, there is points where like the weak link's obviously gonna like bring any group down.
Yeah.
Because even for a raid, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And that's like so true for everything. And that's why it has to click for everybody in a raid for you to clear that spot, because it's so important, especially in Mythic. So important that everyone's doing the mechanics right. Everyone's like doing an appropriate amount of DPS. I mean, you don't have to be leading DPS, but if everybody else is doing 150k, you can't be sitting there doing 50k and expect to be able to clear that boss.
Yeah.
Unless like the gear levels, like everybody's maxed out and the boss has been nerfed 1,000 times, you know? But if you're progging something, it's just very hard to carry a weak link through a raid for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Some of the lower content, especially depending on the gear that like your players have, it's a little more feasible. But definitely upper heroic, and mythics. Everybody has to be on their A game. Everybody's got to be on it, and everybody's got to be ready to do that dance, right? It's always like a coordinated dance of you getting the right steps down, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time. It's mythic or not mythic, heroic Laura, right? Because of the raid, the guild, we are 8 out of 9 heroic right now.
Right.
We've gotten all of them down. We're just working on Laura. We were doing pretty dang good. We cleaned up our raid roster and we went in there, and it was solid. We had some solid pulls in there. Um, and the coordination kind of came down. One, we were memeing near the end there. I kept getting hit with those glaives. I think it was like 2 or 3 times in a row, like back to back. And then I was like, okay, no, like I'm dying like way too much of this. Like I'm gonna like even if it means I have to slow down on healing and stop or whatever, like just to look up and like see where to shift. Like that's obviously much better. Like I was getting tunnel vision on the raid frames. Um, that was happening. I fixed it. I experienced it enough. It was like, right. And so like I adjusted my behavior, and I got better. I dodged them every single time after that. Um, but as we started to get towards the end of the night, there was a couple of players or there was a couple of instances where the glaives went out. People said my name again because like every time, and I didn't need to shift because I was already in place, and like 3 players died. And then there was the next pool, and then like 4 players die, and it's like, oh yeah, it's because you haven't died yet. Like you're not really thinking about it. Like when you die to something, you'll remember it. Like you
Yeah.
die once, maybe, but you die to that thing like 1, 2, 3 times in a row, and you're like, I gotta get over this. I gotta get past this. And it's just a series of that. Is that happens over and over again until everybody's done that and died to a thing and take it. Basically, everybody takes their turn dying to certain mechanics.
Right. And experiencing certain mechanics. Like, if you've never picked up a crystal, you don't know how to handle the crystal, you know?
Yeah.
So if it falls on you, like, there's a high chance that we're probably going to wipe because you don't know what you're doing yet. But that's cool because you're learning. As long as you're learning from it, I'm 100% cool with it. But if I see the same person making the same mistake over and over and over and over again, that's when it gets a little annoying. But I feel like our raid atmosphere is like really, really fun. Like, it's a really encouraging place. Like, I mean, we talk to each other, but it's all in fun, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think usually we're always really having a really good time, and it's a standout guild. Everybody's like really skilled. Everybody has like is like doing a pretty good job, you know.
Yeah, I've talked to multiple people from the guild, and like the group consensus is like we can definitely get pretty far in this season, and especially with the nerfs, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to get CE this season.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm thinking CE, like Indo was talking about that. Our guild leader, like he was mentioning that. I was like private messaging him like a few months or a couple months back, and with all the stuff that we're doing in the guild and the podcast and such, you know, he was talking about how this used to be a CE guild and he wants to get back there again. And I was like, yeah, this season, I was just trying to be positive, but it's like, dude, I think that's like really attainable this season.
The thing is, like, if we really want to hit CE, like, we have to be serious about it. Like, we have to do what it takes to get to CE.
Yeah,
And that means making sometimes hard cuts.
Like a bench, got a bench.
Yeah, a bench, just so somebody can like sit back and look and see what they're doing wrong, or maybe take a look at their class
And enough of
and
a
see.
stream,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Discord, so like people can still jump in. Like it's still fun. We've had people's like wives in, right? Like Beef's wife and shit, like coming to
yeah.
raid.
She never raided with us,
She's a
but
terrible
she
player.
was
She
always
can't
there.
play very well.
Yeah,
But she's fun. She's fun in the chat, Brittany's
yeah,
Brittany's a good friend. So it's fun to we let everyone know to lock in whenever we're, pulling because not everybody's like watching, but we got people who are streaming. You can jump in Discord, hang out, check it out, especially see it from different perspectives. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's a good time.
yeah. What's your Twitch temp? The one that you stream our
It's
raids on?
twitch.tv/TemplrIvanhoe, but you can just go to thehumandistraction.com and it'll take you right to it.
Link down below.
Mhm.
Right? So before we head out, there's one last news item that I wanted to talk about. It just seemed like it would just be really useful for a lot of players, especially with all the void cores coming out. Maybe you want to have like kind of an easy way to track some of this stuff of like what is dropping from where. So it's called Keystone Loot, and that's one word, and it's a menu for all your gearing decision as advertised. It it shows you the dungeons and like the full loot table of like what you can get out of there, right? So that's really convenient. You can kind of set them up in a tiered list of like which ones your favorites are, which ones your best or your highest priority. You can make a wish list in there. So like maybe you go and sim on raid bots and you see that you need to go after these specific pieces from these specific dungeons. You could just set those as favorites or like sort of a wish list thing that they have on the add-on, and as you're trying to gear up, you could just it's a nice little reference to know maybe which raid you're going to go to today, or which mythic plus, the 10 plus you're going to do. I think it's
Does
really
it
really good add-on.
does it give you any extra luck on that drop, or just shows?
Yeah, that'd be nice. But with the void core systems, that's pretty it's pretty nice. Like some players are going to get rid of those pants that they got, or they're going to catalyze them, and there's nothing telling you which part of that table that you've already, churned through. So this also allows you to track those as well.
Oh, really? So if I've used the void core,
I think you track it manually. I don't think it does it automatically. I don't
Oh,
know that
okay.
there's a command for you to actually like call to the server because there's a lot of stuff that like add-on APIs can call, and then you can just actually just write into a script and do an inline command for it, and it'll print it to your chat screen. So there's like a bunch of stuff, but I don't know that you can call the Blizzard API and ask for the status of, you know, whatever's left on your table for that instance, right? Like for me, a trinket, a dagger, and a belt and pants would be missing from the Pit of Sauron table. But I don't know that there's a command, an API that's exposed that allows an add-on to do that. If there is, I imagine this add-on would be the one that would do it automatically and kind of just like show you. But from what I saw in the sort of thing that they were going over on Wahide, it looked like you kind of like manually set it up.
Which is cool too. Like if I
Yeah,
get a piece of gear, I can just go in and gray the gear that I got out.
yeah. Because then at a glance, you can like really see which ones have the most gear left for you or the
Right.
most like bookmark.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, so we are this one's a long one. I think we were actually hanging out with Craig for a little bit before we actually jumped into the podcast, but we're at about 3 hours right now with
Yeah.
oh well that's actually just in the channel. Craig's only been recording since 6:10. Where are we at right now? Okay, so we're like 2 hours right now. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Pretty
Is that
average for this one.
is that usually how long it goes?
Yeah, I used to. My first initial vision was like to keep it in like an hour, and like it was like real quick. And then we were kind of trying to wrangle it in that area, and then I think one time we kind of just did whatever. Um, yeah, let's use that as our little segue to get out of here. I want to throw up the socials that we can get some support on here, right? Before we go, if you want to support the show, the best way is through our Patreon. Every bit helps us keep the lights on, improve the production, and keep this going every week. That link is patreon.com/last attempt pod. If you can't spare the gold, that's totally fine. You can still help in a big way at no cost. Listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you haven't, make sure to follow us. Drop us a rating on there. We love those 5-star ratings. Love to read the comments. We've had a few comments on Spotify, and we've had some reviews on Apple and Spotify. So if you feel like you want to say something, definitely give us a shout out there. If you want to like have a conversation, like maybe a back and forth, maybe it's like a comment on YouTube, that's always an option. That's another one of our things you can go to and watch us at. We don't have any of our cameras on. It's just like a static background for that on YouTube. But I know there's a lot of people that use YouTube as their content source. So I like to have it up on there as well. Um, the links for our YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok are all at Last Attempt Pod. So the username for all of those socials is the same. Try to keep it consistent. So the Discord link is always going to be in the description. We're going to have that in there. You guys can go ahead and follow that and catch us on Discord and join up. If you're interested in joining the guild, you can also do that there. We've got a channel for joining Second Attempt. You can drop your info in there, and we'll have one of our officers work with you. Myself and the co-hosts that I have for the show, Templrivanho and Shakatan, who's normally here. We're all officers in Second Attempt, so any one of us can help you out if you're looking to get in. And I want to lead into Pathran. Do you got anywhere online that you would like people to follow you? You want to plug any of your socials or anything like that? Maybe you stream on Twitch, maybe?
I do not. I play the game. I am thinking about streaming to Twitch, but I haven't set up anything yet. Stay tuned, and I might.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. When you get it set up, you can come back on here and we can talk about it. I know I'm like hesitant of like I need to have a much easier setup for my streaming situation because like I don't have a dedicated camera. I think I just throw my cell phone up there and have some software that uses it. and I got lighting and stuff, but I'm not like decorating my room, so it's like I don't know. I got to put a little more effort into it before. I used to stream. I slowed it down. But so for right now, you don't have any socials you want to plug?
Nope.
Okay, but that leads perfectly into Templar Ivanhoe, who does consistently stream because he is a reasonable person, and we appreciate that about him. So, why don't you tell these people how they can find you? You said the URL earlier, but we can give it again right now.
Yeah, it is just thehumandistraction.com, just one word, and it'll take you straight to my Twitch page. And we do stream, or I do stream our raids, every Tuesday through Thursday. That's 9. Technically, we start at 9 PST, but I usually start the stream at 9:15. And come take a look, hang out, and if you're interested, see if it's the right fit for you.
I was going to share my BattleNet, and if I can find it on my phone before the end of this, I will. But if I stream on Twitch, it's going to be twitch.tv/Squirrelthug_. And yeah, like if you guys can, if you guys want to watch me there, I guess check if I'm streaming first. But if you did want to hit me up in game because I am an officer, I can help you out with getting recruited into the guild and get you in there. You can message me. My battle tag is Skyurus, SCIURUS, and hashtag 1916. So yeah, just hit us up and join up in the Discord if you can. Leave us those likes, reviews, follows, all that stuff. Make sure to really go and find us on all these socials. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate all the listeners as well. I was talking about this earlier, right before the podcast, but for only having this is our 14th episode, we've only been out a couple months. We've got a pretty good amount of like streams and downloads on our stats, so that's really really nice. We appreciate all of you who are out there listening to us. It's definitely making a difference. So keep on doing it and keep on sharing it with your friends and family. Yeah, so that's going to be it for us. See ya.
Laters.
Later.
Okay, Craig, you know what time it is.
Alexa, turn Craig off.